thank you for inviting me. So, as Terry said, I'm going to tell you about how our small hospital implemented the unit in real time to help us get through to UCAS accreditation. For those that don't know where Derby is, not many people have heard of Derby. It's a very small city in the UK, and we're located about 30 miles north of Birmingham. The Royal Derby Hospital only opened in 2008. Prior to that, we had 2 sites in the city that had a lot of duplication of services, so they merged 2 together and built a purpose-built hospital, which I've got to say, I'm quite proud to work there. It's a lovely hospital. We serve a population of over 600,000 people in and around southern Derbyshire, and we've got quite a big Derbyshire Children's Hospital within the Royal Derby Hospital. We treat 1 million patients each year. We have over 6,000 babies born in the maternity unit. Perform 72,000 operations. We've got a suite of 35 state-of-the-art operating theatres. We've got 1,100 beds in the hospital, and we employ about 8,000 people. Pathology at the Royal Derby Hospital consists of 3 departments: blood sciences, which incorporates haematology, biochemistry, immunology and blood transfusion, and then the cellular pathology and microbiology. This is our transfusion lab. As you can see, it's overrun with staff, considering how busy the hospital is. And as you can see, we've got 2 IH1000s in situ. We had them delivered in 2012 and went fully live with them in 2013. And they're good workhorses, I've got to say. So within the lab itself, as Chris said, all labs in the UK were CPA accredited, which we currently are at the moment, but we are in transition onto UCAS. We're MHRA compliant, and we adhere to all the current BCSH transfusion guidelines, and we have to participate in all relevant quality assurance schemes. Our test repertoire in blood bank, we do blood group and antibody screens, antibody identification, compatibility testing, both serological and bioelectronic issue. I don't know if you do electronic issue over here. Neonatal sample testing, we do fetal maternal hemorrhage estimation as well, both by the old Kleihauer method using a slide and by flow cytometry. We do DATS, and we have a full antenatal screening service that we provide for the region, which includes routine antenatal anti-D prophylaxis programs. So the blood bank issues out anti-D injections to all the D-negative pregnant ladies in the area. And as I said, we've got 2 Biorad IH1000 analyzers in situ. Just a few stats from the lab. Considering we've only got 3 people working there, they are quite busy. In 2015, we had 58,500 group and screen samples, and from them there were over 7,000 cross-match requests generated, which then resulted in the transfusion of nearly 12,000 red cells, over 1,000 units of platelets, 676 units of fresh frozen plasma, 109 units of cryoprecipitate, and then also 350 units of Octoplas LG. Octoplas is a manufactured plasma that we have to use for certain categories of patients, because since mad cow disease, we can't give standard FFP to all the population. So the IH1000s then, like I said, they're good workhorses, and we use them routinely every day for all blood groups. Antibody screens, we use a 3-cell screen. Neonatal blood grouping as well. Antibody identification, we run 2 panels. We use the Biorad one and the NHSBT one. NHSBT is our blood service, so they also provide us with reagents. And we have an IAT and an enzyme panel on both. We do direct anti-globulin test and screens on the analyzers, and we also do the rhesus phenotypes and KEL typing. They are capable of doing serological cross-matching, but currently in Derby we don't do that. We like to do a bit of hands-on work with the cross-matching. Internal quality controls, we have 5 that we use routinely. QC1 and 2 are the Biorad basic QC that Chris mentioned earlier. And then we have 3 third-party QCs as well. 3 is just plasma, which carries an anti-little c. 4 is our negative control, so it's just AB serum, and then QC5 is a reference anti-D, and we had to bring that one in as part of ISO for the metrological traceability. Don't ask me about that because I can't tell you. It's just one of those things you just don't want to talk about. So QC 1 to 4 we process routinely twice daily, and again if there's any downtime events or planned preventative maintenance, and QC5 we just run that once a week. Okay. QC 1, 2, 3 ensure that the screening cells have a positive reaction on each cell, okay, because they change the antigens that are in them sometimes, and sometimes you get a negative one, so it covers that. And then the AB serum, I said, is for the negative control. We have to be participating in external quality assessment as well. The UK National External Quality Assessment is the main one, or NEQAS as we call it for short, and we do a full repertoire of tests for those. There's 4 major exercises per year that cover all the routine aspects of blood grouping, serology, and then we get a further 6 exercises covering antibody detection and identification only. And as Chris said, we have been evaluating the Biorad EQAS blood typing programme as well. They cover the same repertoire of tests as the NEQAS with the addition of the direct anti-globulin test, and he said we get 3 samples every 4 months. So on to the Unity part of the talk now. Towards the end of 2015 we found out that we were going to be inspected by UCAS against ISO 15189, and we are given the heads up for this transitional period, so you can look at what sort of standards you've got to try and meet. And 5.6.2.3 was one of them, and at that time our blood bank couldn't fulfil that standard, so we had to do something about it. What were the options? So we could do it manually, but it was going to be very, very time consuming, because we'd have to extract all of the QC data off both analyzers manually and then analyse it and then review it. So not ideal. The ideal situation would be some sort of automated system that could do it for us, but obviously it would have to meet UCAS acceptance criteria. And voila, December 2015 we were approached by Biorad to evaluate their Unity software, which works really well with the Biorad analyzers. It's networked to each analyzer, and the IQC results automatically go across to it when they're generated, and the results are displayed as reaction strengths, as you saw on Chris's slides, and you can get reports and charts, and you can print them or you can export them as PDFs. Perfect. So Unity was brought into the lab and set up for us. So these next slides are all just how it is set up in our lab. It may have moved on better in other areas, because it is a blood transfusion is a new module, as Chris said, so we didn't really know what we were doing with it. So in order to get the results to go from the IH1000s to Unity real-time 2, you have to use Unity Connect in the middle. So the QCs are loaded onto the IH1000, and these are done by barcode. QC 1 and 2, the Biorad QC, are barcoded at source, but the 3, 4 and 5, we have to generate barcodes for them. So then when we've done that, we scan them into Unity Connect, and then that then transfers all the data into Unity real time. So on that screen there, you can see that the QCs are listed in the second column, basic 1, 2, and then LIQC is local IQC, which is what we had to call 3, 4 and 5 because it's a third party. And then the barcodes on the left-hand side, the last six numbers in those numbers is the actual expiry date of that QC, and then the 3 numbers prior to that are the last 3 digits of the lot number, so we know exactly which QC is which from the barcodes. So onto Unity itself now. This is the data collection screen. The analyzers are listed on the left-hand side. So we've got 2 analyzers there with their serial numbers. If you click onto one of the analyzers, it then opens up and you can see all the QC that are loaded on it. So you can see 1 to 5 listed there. And if you open up a QC, you can then see the cells that you're actually QCing against. We made a decision when we started to do this not to do the full repertoire for the blood group, all the tests for blood groups. One reason was because the reagents that you use for blood grouping are so stable, we didn't think we were going to have a problem with that. And also the amount of data that it was going to produce, it was going to make it quite difficult to evaluate it. So we just stuck with the screening cells to start with. But as Chris said, it is going to antibody identification at some point too. Okay. So when the data goes across, it puts the date and time that the QC was run, and it also gives you the results. So all these results here for basic QC1 against screening cell 1 are 2+ reaction. The Y is, yes, it has met the expected response criteria that we have preset when we put the QCs in. Op is just the operator, and that just defaults, as you see there, because of the way it's been set up for in our lab. So it's whoever's logged on to the software at the time. And A and C are for action and comments, which I'll come on to in a second. So when you want to review your results, you click on the Review tab at the top, and then you have to enter your the analyzer you want to look at and which QC. So this is basic QC1. And if you get a result that is outside of your expected response, it will highlight it red as seen on the screen here. And the action column, if you click onto that, you can then, it will then open up the action box. And Unity contains several preset comments that you can choose as to why that result did not meet the expected response. And then once you've selected it, it will appear in the bottom box there. So this is one we made up because we don't generally get many QC failures. And then there's also a comment box on your data collection screen. Unity automatically populates that with the lot number of the QC that it relates to. But then once, if you've had a failure, so it's highlighted red, you can then click onto the comment box, and then you can manually type in why that QC failed. So more comments on the reason for the failure. So Unity provides you with a full audit trail for any actions or comments that you have to put onto your QC. You can look at them graphically, which, as Chris showed earlier. So not all of the graph options are available on the transfusion module in our lab. Whether that's moved on since, I'm not sure, because they activated the multi ones yet. It doesn't work on ours. So if you click on the Levy Jennings tab at the top there, it then displays the results as Chris showed before. And if you hover your mouse over any of those points, it will tell you if there are any comments or actions that have been put onto that. So this is the one from the previous 2 slides that failed. So you put your mouse over that red dot, it then brings up the date and time that the sample was run, what that result is, which is clearly it's a negative one, and then all the actions and comments that you've attached to it. And then these graphs can be exported as PDFs. We can use these graphs also for trending. So if you've got some cells that are becoming aged, then if you look on your graphs, you can see if the results started coming out weaker, you'll be able to see that happening. So even though Unity does produce loads of reports and graphs and things, we decided in the lab, because of ISO 5.6.2.3, we had to review the results. So we produced this monthly report to take to our quality meeting to go over all the RQC that we've done for that month. There's one for each analyzer, so this is Bio 2, and the serial number is there. All the QC that we run are listed down that left-hand column, and against the cells 1, 2 and 3. We put in the expected results we should find, and then we list all the times that result has been outside the range. But it's just a tick box exercise, to be honest, because you don't expect to get any QC failures in blood bank. So again, this is a mocked up one because it's noughts on every column, she says confidently. So Yeah, it works well. And that sorted us out for the 5.6.2.3. So just to summarise, we can, if we want to, we can do all QC data can be accessible in one place. So if we extend it, we can add all the blood groups on there. So that was good. As I said, we have fulfilled 5.6.2.3. And we also, at the time we didn't realise, but we didn't comply with 5.6.4 either, but now we do. So that was an added bonus. We did get inspected in July this year. And we had to send in our final evidence for the findings that they found, and we're still waiting to find out if we've passed it. So watch this space, hopefully we will. Possible future developments, this is just things we felt in-house that we would like to see from Unity in the transfusion module. The activation of the multi-LJ charts, we can only see one at a time, so we'd like to see that activated. It is active in other areas. So in chemistry, I think we used it for hemoglobin A1Cs, but not in transfusion. So we'd like to be able to see all the results on QC1 against cells 1, 2 and 3 on one graph, for instance. You can print off reports, as I said, but if they can make them more user-definable, because we thought we might like to see all the results for a particular QC against both analyzers on one graph, so we can compare the results between the analyzers, things like that. And if you could convert the results from it saying 2+ just to a number, we could then use standard deviation. You can do it manually, you can export to as a CSV file into Excel and then do it yourself, but if you could do that within Unity, that would be a lot easier. And that's me. Thank you for listening.